My family didn't have a lot of money growing up. I remember this time when I was about 7 or 8. My mom handed me one of those catalogs filled with a bunch of useless junk, like the variety pack of popcorn that comes in those really big tins, or like ice cube trays that made ice in the shapes of your favorite sports teams. And my mom told me to use this as a jumping off point to come up for ideas for my Christmas list. You know, because every kid wants to pour Dr. Perky over Pittsburgh Steelers ice. Now, I'm not saying this as a way to guilt trip you guys into liking and subscribing and leaving a very nice comment. I'm just saying that my desires as a child were clouded by the knowledge of financial insecurity at such a young age. And this was pretty much the norm until I went off to college and got my own source of income, and then I was able to buy my own nerd shit. However, the moment I saw this ad for Skechers Zstraps and the free comic book that came along with it, that cap that I had for once just vanished. I wanted it more than anything. Literally, as far as I can remember, during my entire childhood, this is the thing that I wanted the most. The top 3 wants I had as a kid were Skechers Z-Straps, a fully sleeved 60-card Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and that black gladiator mask thing that Rey Mysterio wore in SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. And while the Yu-Gi-Oh deck eventually evolved into the Cloud Precon from Magic the Gathering, and the want for the Rey Mysterio gladiator mask turned into a want for an MF Doom helmet, for some reason, the Skechers Z-Straps has always been in the back of my mind. I always come back and think about it. Not necessarily that I want it, but I always wonder what could have been. And I'm really not sure why. It could be because his getup was black and red, and being an edgy kid, those were my favorite colors, or because my great aunt took me and my brothers to summer camp and I saw a kid there rocking those shoes. But either way, this video is for you, 8-year-old Sid. How you doing? Your mom's gonna leave you in 8 years. To those of you unaware, and I'm sure it's most, the shoe brand Skechers had a marketing campaign directed towards children in 2009. And this campaign featured a lot of original superhero mascots that all had their personas kind of put into a shoe, if that makes sense. This campaign featured the original superheroes Elastica, Kewl Breeze, the previously mentioned Z-Strap, and then a few others that weren't superheroes that we'll touch on in a second. Now, I don't want people to think that there's some sort of Mandela effect going on. I am not talking about the Nickelodeon show that came out in like 2011 that featured the same cast of characters. I am only talking about the comics that Skechers put out. And while I was planning this video, I expected to follow the same formula as I do for my other videos. You know, do some research on the topic, write a script, record, make some jokes about the comic, and we'd all have a good laugh. However, that is not the case. When I say that there's no information on these comics, I'm not being dramatic. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but my phrasing is only slightly hyperbolic. It appears that only within the past few months of writing the script for this video have we even received confirmation that these comics still exist and they weren't just buried in a landfill next to that E.T. Atari game. I want to give a shout out to the people over at Lost Media Wiki. While the thread discussing these comics is relatively new, they've been putting in work. Not only did they find obscure listings on weird auction sites that had these comics, but they have bought them and scanned them and uploaded them for free to the Internet Archive for shitty YouTubers like me to profit off of. So I thank you. Going through the thread, people are really unsure how many of these comics even exist, which makes a lot of sense. If the comic was only bundled with shoes, and I only say if because I'm not sure if these were given away at some promotional event, then most kids wouldn't get a full run. What are the odds that you could convince your parents to buy you multiple pairs of shoes just so you can get the full run of Skechers Z-Straps or Heidi in the high tops? Maybe if you had siblings, you could possibly get a few more, but I really don't see any parents buying their child multiple pairs of Skechers just so they could get the comic. And even if you were able to convince your parents to get you the full run of Skechers Kewl Breeze, Kids suck at keeping things in good condition, so it's really not a surprise that these don't pop up for sale often, and when they do, people charge out the ass for them. And I should note that recently, as of the time of writing this, YouTuber Jordan Fringe made a video talking about the Nickelodeon show I previously mentioned. I wanted to mention this because such a big YouTuber making a video on such an obscure topic that's kind of lost media. Someone will remember, oh, I had these comics as a kid and find them in a shoebox tucked under their bed, and then we'll get another piece of the lost media. So with all that being said, there might be a part 2 to this depending on if any new information comes out. Another mystery behind these comics is their creation. We know that John Massey, American animator and content creator, is the mind behind a lot of these characters, and we know that Dan Almanzar is the artist behind at least one of these issues, but that's it. The reason why we don't know who wrote and or drew these comics is because these comics don't have credits in them. I'm not sure if this is because whoever worked on these comics didn't want their name associated with them, or Skechers didn't feel it important enough to give them credit, but either way, the lack of information about who created this and every other missing puzzle piece kind of makes this it for the information piece of the video. I was going to do like a funny reveal for this, but hold on, let me show you guys something. I have this. This here is the catalyst of me making this video. This is Kapow Comics. Oh, it's the same on both sides. Kapow Comics Volume 2. In that Lost Media Wiki I previously mentioned where people were uploading scans of the comics, no one has a scan of this. No one has even mentioned this or issue or volume number 1 of this specific anthology. Now, I don't know if I found lost media and I'm kind of the savior of the Skechers comics getting lost to time, but either way, you're welcome. You guys probably could have figured out that I didn't get those shoes previously mentioned, so you might be wondering how I got this comic. So I got this comic in Pennsylvania
at a Goodwill bin store
with my girlfriend and our mutual friend when we were on our way to see the Frank Frazetta Museum in East Stroudsburg. Shout out to his family for running it. There's so much art in there that I had never seen, and I'm a huge Frank Frazetta fan. See, they have a bunch of merchandise with his art on it, and they have comics. It's just kick-ass. To those of you that don't know what a Goodwill bins store is, it's like Goodwill but in bins. And this particular location had a designated vinyl section, and me being the audiophile that I am, that was the first place I went. The only vinyl that I picked up was the Animals self-titled record, because I was born in the wrong generation. However, with the records were a few comics and a few loose bags and boards. And I looked through the small stack of comics, and I noticed that the Skechers comic that I just showed you guys was in it. Memories of the commercial and stuff like that came flooding back, and since then I had been wanting to make a video talking about all of the comics. This was long before the Brass Mango was even a twinkle in my eye. Little did I know when I bought this, it seems to be lost media. While Googling the title, I can find scans of Volume 1 and Volume 2, but just of their covers. But there isn't anywhere showing the insides or people even discussing this comic. From what I can gather, this specific comic came out in 2011 as the Skechers Nickelodeon show was airing. This is issue number 2 of what appears to be an anthology. This issue features a crossover of the Skechers Big 3, those being Elastica, Kewl Breeze, and the ever-cool Zstrap. And it ends with a to be continued, so it appears that there were plans of continuing this anthology, but there's no evidence of a part 3 existing anywhere. Let me see if I could do this one-handed.
That's what she said.
Each story has their own credits, and because there's no information on the production of these comics and anything on that end, I reached out to everyone that I could find that has some sort of online presence. As of the time of recording, no one has reached back. I was only able to reach out to 2 people. out of all of the credits, and no one responded. Hopefully there will be a part 2 with more information, or as I'm editing this, there will be a bombshell, and I can forgive myself for the information portion of this video being so lackluster. Hopefully my witty comments and review of the comics will make up for it. If not, I do apologize. I will link all of the comics from the Internet Archive in the description if you want to check them out. For this video, I will not be talking about all of them. That was the plan, but a few of them are like activity books, and some of them are just part 2s. It's just not going to make for interesting commentary. I will say I'm saving this for the end to kind of do a live reaction on. I feel like that could be fun. I have skimmed through it, and like I said, I do know it's an anthology, but I really don't know what it's about. I know it introduces Mr. Quigley, the world's fastest dog. My new top 3 list of once now features this 4-foot-tall Zstrap statue. I don't have much information on this besides that it was some sort of promotional item, and the shipping cost over $100. Needless to say, just like 8-year-old Sid, my top 3 lists of once will not be fulfilled. So anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get into the review portion. These comics are really short. I apologize if there's not much I can say. We are starting with
Heidi is the girl that knows what's cool in school. Those are so cute. Heidi's got the high. New from Skechers.
I only found the scan of the first issue, but luckily this doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Heidi and the High Tops is a band featuring Heidi, Mariko, Samantha, and Charlotte. Mariko and Charlotte rush to school to meet up with Samantha and Heidi because they have some big news. There is a talent show this Friday with a grand prize of $500. I want to say right off the bat, the introduction to these characters is leagues higher than the shit that professional writers Chuck Dixon and Vox Day do in their horrible comics. I promise I won't bring them up again, but it's just an interesting comparison. If you want to check out those videos and watch me make fun of some alt-right propaganda, click the link up here or wherever, or at the end of the video. And the dialogue here feels a little dated for how teenagers would have been talking in 2009. Were people really using holla girl and serious awesomeness? I was a child then, so I'm not really an expert on late aughts teens and their vernacular. I could be misremembering it, but the high schoolers that rode my bus weren't talking like this. Admittedly, I lived on what people described as the road with all the meth heads, so my knowledge is probably pretty skewed. As they are discussing the contest, we are introduced to the antagonists of the comic, a rival band who are also entering the talent show called the Snake Claws. As the following panel shows the reaction that Heidi and the High Tops have, and it is just so funny. It looks like that one GIF that people comment on like Instagram reels of the movie Ants, where they're just kind of standing there. Every girl in this picture feels like it would be yassified and used as some girlie's profile picture. We get a little back and forth between Zeke, the singer of the Snake Claws, and Heidi. In the background of the panel, Charlotte comments on how cute the drummer is, and in the next, while they are at band practice, she comments that Heidi's brother is pretty cute as well. Is it wrong to call a fictional teenager in a children's comic?
The hoe.
It's Friday morning, the day of the show, but something's very wrong at school. We find out that Zeke trashed the teacher's lounge and framed Heidi in the High Tops. They are now forced to clean the teacher's lounge and potentially miss the talent show, and while they get all the paint off, all of their clothes are now wet. Heidi tells the rest to take the curtains from the teacher's lounge and turn them into matching outfits for the show. She calls her brother, and he picks them up and takes them to the talent show. What I don't understand is why her brother couldn't bring her clothes. How was it easier to make matching outfits from the curtains by hand? Doesn't matter because they're able to perform. We see what appears to be lyrics of the song that they're singing, and they appear to be spreading a positive message. The not so subtle nod of American Idol judges cast their votes. Zeke accidentally snitches on himself and his band for being the ones who trashed the teacher's lounge, and Heidi and the High Tops win the contest. And the host gives them an oversized check, and we have one more instance of Charlotte being
the tramp.
For what it is, I really didn't mind it. The art is fine enough. It's on par for everything else that I've reviewed for this channel. A lot of the characters have a lot of personality, even though the comic is only 8 pages long, which is really impressive to do. A comic this short can have so much room for error by being bogged down with needless introductions and exposition, but this comic gets straight to the point, and I kind of wish there was more. Unfortunately, that's all that we have for Heidi and the High Tops. Or is it? As I was looking for footage for Heidi and the High Tops, I discovered that there is a Heidi and the High Tops movie. So it might not be the last time we see Heidi and the High Tops. But for now, take it away, Pass Sid. Next up is
Some of the coolest styles ever imagined. Stankfoot doesn't stand a chance. That's cool.
unfortunately, I was only able to find scan number 3 of Kewl Breeze, and it's in black and white. And don't worry, even though it's issue number 3, we still get an introduction of Kewl Breeze and his powers. I didn't even think about the fact that a parent who gets their kid a pair of shoes because they want to read the comic could get super unlucky and the comic be a later issue and they don't know what's going on. But luckily they figured that out and just describe what he does, and I assume every issue. Matt Martin is just an average kid who turns into superhero Kewl Breeze, spelt like an Xbox 360 gamer tag, because we are in 2008, when he puts on his air-fueled sneakers. He uses his powers to protect children everywhere from the evil Dr. Stankfoot, who I'm pretty sure is a Frank Zappa character. While in gym class, Matt and his classmates are waiting for their teacher, but little did they know they have a substitute today, and it's Dr. Stankfoot. So, while Matt is trying to get his shoes and save the day, Stankfoot announces that all of the children will be playing a game of dodgeball, and that, I quote, "Now the bad news. You're all going to get stinky, sweaty feet because you are all playing dodgeball against the perspirator." While the gym class is experiencing really stinky dodgeball, the comic narrates that Kewl Breeze arrives just in time. Just in time for what? Stankfoot has already commenced the game of dodgeball, the game of stinky dodgeball. What is Kewl Breeze stopping? The game has already commenced. I do like the little speech bubble in the corner when Kewl Breeze finally makes his appearance that says "awesome shoes." Kewl Breeze tells his classmates that they need to work together, and they're like, how can we stop Stankfoot? He's made our feet all stinky. So Kewl Breeze reaches into his bag and hands them each a pair of Skechers. I was under the impression that the only thing that turned Kewl Breeze into Kewl Breeze were these shoes, but I guess not, because he's giving everyone a pair of shoes. Maybe I'm missing something from issues 1 and 2, but it doesn't matter. We're also given a diagram that shows how the shoe prevents smelly feet by creating airflow. I honestly think marketing a shoe to prevent sweaty feet is a genius idea. Like, I get, you want to have a cool superhero and push this and stuff. Kids don't care about if they have smelly feet or not, so market these shoes towards the parents. Make it like a fucking Lysol commercial or something, I don't know. So the shoes gives the class the ability to beat the perspirator in a game of dodgeball. How do the shoes accomplish this and help them beat this cyborg of a fucking dodgeball player? Maybe they weren't feeling so fresh, so their confidence was really low, and now that they know that they can't have stinky feet because of these shoes, they can play with ease. I don't know. This was just an awful comic. I didn't have high hopes for this, but after reading Heidi and the High Tops, my expectations were a little higher because that one was genuinely decent and didn't feel like they were trying to shove advertisements in your face. And I understand this comic is only 8 pages and it's issue 3 So, of course, there's going to be some lost context. But why does Stankfoot want to make a classroom of elementary schoolers' feet really sweaty and stinky? I'm not asking for anything Alan Moore-esque of, like, motive, but, like, goddamn, give me something.
You might never, ever tie your shoes again. Zstrap by Skechers.
My old pal Zstrap. It was more of a one-sided friendship, but I do have access to issues 1 through 3 of this comic. Unfortunately, issue 3 is in black and white. I apologize for that. So Zstrap issue 1 starts with some narration that aliens called the Zagaloids are about to invade Earth, but they lost a vital part of their war machine called the Z-Matrix. And it started when an alien device crashed to Earth and did what it did. It stuck itself to Jason with secrets that it hid. Now he's got superpowers. He's no ordinary kid. He's Zstrap. So the Zagaloids figure out that it's crashed to Earth. There's this genuinely funny piece of misdirection where he says, "Release the Tangler." And someone responds all frightened, like, "No, not the Tangler." And the leader responds with, like, "Come on, guys, why not? Like, it's the best course of action." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." The aliens send the Tangler to Earth, and we see a glimpse of Jason's home life. His mom is asking him about school. His little sister's teasing him about his girlfriend. You know, just an average nuclear family. The dad tells everyone to look at the news, and we see the Tangler is terrorizing Jason's school. He bursts into action, running behind his garage to transform into Zstrap. While this is going on, his sister sneaks a peek and catches his transformation. Zstrap is off to his school, and using his Z-Matrix straps, like Spider-Man's webs, he slingshots himself faster towards the school. He makes his way to the Tangler, commenting on how he seems like a giant mass of shoelaces, while Zstrap almost gives his identity away by calling one of the hostages by their name. The Tangler twacks him across the back. Zstrap uses his newly acquired super speed to zip and zoom around the Tangler, and in his confusion, dropping the hostages. Then Zstrap causes the Tangler to tangle himself into a double knot. Zstrap starts like putting the moves on Jenny. He's like, "Yo, what's up, shawty? Let's me and you ditch these clowns and go grab a slice." And she is like, "Nah, I'm waiting on my friend Jason. Do you know where he is?" I thought this was a nice little interaction cementing the fact that Zstrap is new to this, is new to having a secret identity, and shows that the girl still has the hots for him. Zstrap's sister Gabby comes out of nowhere and begins blackmailing Jason into keeping his secret identity. Her demands are half his allowance, and he has to play tea party with her whenever she wants. Both are very harsh demands, but pretty understandable for a child. And that's where the issue ends. Issue 2 begins with Dr. Stankfoot, the Frank Zappa guy from earlier, complaining about a skate park they built right next to his house. For some reason, the aliens who were after Zstrap appear to be his servants or something, because they're bringing him breakfast, and he demands for them to unleash the Tangler onto the skate park. Jason and 2 girls, I assume one is Jenny, are watching someone named Zach shred up the park, and Jason is jealous at the attention Zach is getting. Then the Tangler shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh no!" But Jason morphs into Zstrap, and he goes after the Tangler. While dodging the Tangler's attacks, Zstrap comes to the conclusion that he has to give every kid a little bit of his Zstrap technology, because the Tangler is drawing energy from kids' shoes. Do you see the similarities between this and Kewl Breeze? I guess Zstrap's abilities are super speed, super strength, his rope extension things, and the ability to turn any shoes into Z-straps. Jason shoots the Tangler with an energy blast. We can put that on the list of Z-Strap's powers. And the Tangler turns really small for some reason. The issue ends with Jason showing off his school skateboard trick to the shawties he was sitting with earlier. This issue sucked compared to the first one, and I really hope issue 3 is better. Right off the bat, the cover is kind of sick. I know it's in black and white, but it looks straight out of the 90s comic boom. I'm not sure how much time has passed between issue 2 and issue 3, but Jason looks completely different. Jason is somewhere using his newly acquired X-ray binoculars and sees that some people appear to be planning to blow up a train. He transforms into a newly designed Zstrap costume, and I have to say, kind of sucks. I know it's in black and white, but the previous design had a lot of charm in its simplicity. It wasn't great, but this new one looks too much like a standard superhero design, and it's pretty generic. He's so angular now, and he looks more like a villain. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some context here because Zstrap is reacting to a bunch of this new technology that he can use, like it's his first time using it. So he runs after the people that are trying to blow up the bridge called the Street Lacers, and he grabs their detonator before speeding away. He asks the racers why they want to blow up the bridge, and they respond, "We don't want any outsiders coming through Stankville." I don't know why the fuck these comics are always bringing up stanky feet, and it's really strange. And in these next panels, I don't even feel like bother showing you guys, but I can't tell what happens because it's not really that high quality of a scan. I'm not knocking the person who scanned this and uploaded it to the Internet Archive because I'm really grateful for that. It's just you can't really make out what's going on in the last few pages of the comic. It eventually ends with Zstrap, of course, stopping the Street Lacers. I wish I had a better transition for this. So what you see now is the comic I was talking about earlier. Like I said, Kapow Comics, Volume 2. Features a brand new character, which I didn't even see until now. The Invincible Megaflex. And like I said, it introduces Mr. Quigley, the world's fastest dog. I wasn't lying to you guys. Yo, editor Sid here. Sorry for interrupting this, but I just edited that whole section. It was boring as hell. So if you want to check out any of these comics, check the link in the description. You're welcome. And that's it. That's all of the comics that I'm reviewing today.